Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, on this happy Monday for another YouTube video. Hopefully you've all had a great start to your weeks. This is going to be a Cardano update, and we're going to be doing quite a bit in this video. We're going to start off with a clip from Charles Hoskinson's recent AMA talking about Cardano and the bad rap that it has had via the media. You know, this is something that I've continued to reiterate on this channel, is that Cardano really doesn't deserve a lot of the criticism that it gets. Some criticism, of course, is warranted. You know, for example, we didn't have smart contracts and ship smart contracts out a lot later than others. It was very slow at one point. We had latency issues. But what people fail to realize, people just want things instantly. And actually, that's backfired massively on the likes of Solana investors and these other projects, as they've been sort of victims to hacks or just, you know, downright scams or pumpermentals and so on and so forth. So he really sums up the sort of criticism that Cardano gets and actually exposes Sam Bankman-Fried and the block CEO. So there's many great reporters from the block. But the CEO was actually taking bribes from Sam Bankman-Fried, which maybe, given that he was such a big advocate for Solana, and you can see at the top here, you've got BTC, ETH, Bitcoin Cash, and Solana, maybe a reason why they were so negative in regards to Cardano. So we'll start off with this clip. We're then going to look at a number of other things, and I'm going to finish things off in regards to the price. And unfortunately, it's not good news, I'm afraid. You know, we weren't the first out of Cardano from an investment point of view, but we have largely been out. We hold some ADA. I obviously run a stake pool, and, you know, I've sort of committed to just holding a bag of ADA indefinitely. But the main reason for me selling Cardano round about that $1 mark was so that I could maximize the amount of ADA that I get going into next bull run. And that's worked for us so far, and I actually think you're going to get Cardano cheaper than where it's currently at this nice, significant round 30-cent number. But the reasons I think Cardano is going to sell off to more of a degree than it already has everything to do with the sort of broader macroeconomic landscape. Now, I went through this with my Patreons in last night's video, and I want to look at what BlackRock are forecasting in regards to GDP and a foretold recession. Now, this is going to have bearings on ADA, and on the cryptocurrency market generally, and in the same fashion and in the same way that it is going to have bearings on the stock market, the S&P, the NASDAQ, even things like gold, as there's a real rush for liquidity. And that's just without, you know, that's the kind of economic trajectory without any sort of capitulatory event like March 2020 or kind of Lehman's moment that I think we're heading into as a sort of global economy. I think we are going into a synchronized global recession, if not a depression, and that's going to have bearings across the board. And I think that there's really two ways that you can look at this recession. Is it going to be a 2008 style recession where it's going to be a little bit more, there's going to be that big moment and then things are going to take a while to recover? Or is it going to be more of a March 2020 sort of capitulation where governments have to avert the course that they are on and actually go back to stimulating, which is when we would get bullish again? So we'll cover all that. I'll also show you that Cardano is here to stay, and we keep bringing up the fact that Cardano is and has been in the top 10 now really for nearly 5 years. And I'll also explain how I actually got into Cardano. You know, I had expressed the fact that when I first bought ADA back in 2018 and 2017, it really was because I was just buying all sorts of cryptos, okay? And Cardano was one, it was in the top 10, it felt like I should have owned some. And then actually being a holder through that long bear market, you know, really benefited me. And then when I really looked into the project, it cemented my reasons for being in it. So let's start things off, guys, with a clip from Charles Hoskinson, and then we're going to go through the video. This is just going to be a nice, relaxed Cardano update video with a little bit of price action and technical analysis. Let's start by playing the clip.
You know, years ago, people would come up and ask, why is it that Cardano gets such a bad shake in the media? Why is it that ADA, Cardano, you guys are so viciously, vehemently criticized? In fact, I went to a Twitter space a few days ago. It's a VeChain Solana ALGORAND space. And JPEG store guy was there, and they're all just hating on him. They say, "Oh, Cardano is a scam coin. It's shit. It's all this stuff." There's so much programming in the industry. And then we discover the block, which has given us such lovely coverage through the years. Vossel shipped after being 3 months delayed. Turns out that the CEO is taking bribes from FTX. Turns out that FTX was trying to pay everybody off to boost their garbage and attack legitimate projects. And that's the tip of the iceberg. When I was sitting there with Ryan Selkis and we were at the panel, the fireside chat, he says, "Why does no one like you?" I said, "Because we don't have Ponzonomics." And they do. And they need to dump their stuff. So we're the enemy. And now all the dirty laundry is coming on out. People are starting to learn about it. People are starting to see what we've known, what we suspected for years. And that means we're here to stay. They're not. You know, Cardano's gone through a lot. It's been a hard year. The markets have gone down from 2.6 trillion at the all-time high to under 900 billion. I think ADA is down 73%. In addition to that, all of these things you would think would be good counterparties to trade with, do business with, good partners to build with, they're disappearing one by one. So there's a consolidation in the industry. And what keeps people here is not money, it's principles. And it's about damn time that we go back to first principles as an industry and ask ourselves why we're here. Because you know what? If you're here for a 10x or 100x or 200x, you just witnessed real time what the end result is. If you're here to change the world or you're here to make stuff better, well, okay, that's a different story and takes a lot more pain, and it's not as fun. Why? Because you get criticized, you get brutalized, you get called ghost chain, you get murdered in the media, people write horrible things, and then a lot of people start believing them and internalizing them. And every single time you go and speak to somebody who's not of your tribe, different group, you have to overcome 20, 30 minutes of skepticism, resistance, because the person they think you are, the ecosystem they think you're from, is a fantasy. Doesn't exist. You're someone else.
Let's leave it there, guys. I'll leave a link to the full surprise AMA in the description. I think he did it because it was Lovelace's birthday. Of course, he was going to. He spoke about the fact that Sam Bankman-Fried had essentially been giving loans to the CEO of BlockFi. Sorry, not BlockFi, the Block. Make that clear. Not BlockFi, the Block. And, you know, we've kind of all known this in regards to a lot of the media criticism being unfair. He spoke about quite a lot in that little clip, but he spoke about first principles, and first principles in regards to probably what Satoshi created Bitcoin for. You know, what is this industry really trying to achieve? And Cardano has never left those first principles. I don't believe it has ever been about, for Charles and the people developing Cardano, maybe for some of them, I don't think it's ever been about getting rich overnight. You know, Charles was the founder of Ethereum, the co-founder of Ethereum, and probably did very, very well off of it. So yes, he is already a billionaire and maybe money isn't as important. But one big reason that I'm such a believer in Cardano, and I would say actually I have a belief that Cardano will succeed, probably like I have for maybe I have for another 2 other blockchains. You know, we've never left first principles, and this has always been about creating a blockchain that's going to see real-world use and adoption. If you know anything about Metcalfe's law, you'll be very much on the side with me in regards to the fact that, you know, these blockchains will become or go up in value based on what's adopted and what's not. So value will come from adoption, and Cardano is very well positioned, certainly within your developing nations and broadly, to be that cryptocurrency that gains that adoption. Not only has it been here for 5 years, I'll show you that on the historical snapshots. If we go back to 2000 and the end, we'll look at the end of 2017, or for altcoins, actually, we'll look at the start of 2018. You know, it was very much fifth in position when all these other altcoins really disappeared. Some of these are nowhere to be seen anymore, and that's because it's doing something of real value, and there's value there. And it is a shame the rap that we've got, and you can see. I feel sorry for Solana holders. I've never been a big advocate for Solana. I think I've seen the kind of evil VC roots of it from the start. I think Sam Bankman-Fried's involvement and championship of it are very money-driven and not sort of potentially the same reason why Charles is so zealous about Cardano. And that's always been a big problem for me, because what we've seen has really been a testimony to why that's not the way to do things. He also mentions in regards to price, if you're here for the 10 to 20x's, there's of course risk that's associated with that. Certainly in a booming, flourishing market, you get these sort of bubbles, if you will. Crypto is not a bubble and blockchain isn't a bubble. Its long-term trajectory is clearly up. Certainly if you look at adoption, it's one of the fastest ever technologies to be adopted. But I feel sorry for the Solana holders, because really they should have been Cardano holders. Certainly the ones that are passionate about blockchain and really thought that they had found the next blockchain to change the world. Guys, I think it's Cardano. I think Cardano is on the same trajectory as Ethereum. I think it will reach highs in terms of Ethereum's market cap. Ethereum got to, I think, half a $1 trillion. I think Cardano is heading there. Bitcoin proved that you can have $1 trillion cryptocurrency. And as this technology, and we've seen pretty much no adoption on a mass scale thus far, as we enter that phase of adoption and that new era, which is blockchain, you want to be behind the right project. And I believe that Cardano is that, and I have a very optimistic long-term view on it. These were some of the weekly development reports. You also have statistics to date. There's currently 108 projects launched on top of Cardano and 1,151 looking to build. This is going to grow into the tens of thousands likely. We're going to have thousands of projects built on ADA. Potentially we're going to have whole infrastructures for governments and, financial systems that interoperate and work with it. It's a long, bright future that we have ahead of us, regardless of what the price is doing now. The price is and has been dictated to us based on liquidity. And for me to talk about why I think Cardano's price is going to go lower, it's not really a reflection at this point of Cardano and more markets and how they work in regards to supply and demand. I think there's going to be an overwhelming need for people to sell in regards to a lack of interest in people buying. And that's going to tilt the price lower, in my opinion. I think this entire market is set for lower prices. We looked at Bitcoin today and we gave technical reasons. When we looked at the S&P, we even looked at things like the VIX, the volatility index for the S&P, which all point to that next down leg. And we're going into a very volatile week this week with the US CPI tomorrow, with a number of other CPIs coming out. And we've got three. We've got the Fed coming out doing an interest rate hike. We've also got the Bank of England and the ECB. This is all taking liquidity, which was the driver focusing. We'll use total 2 actually. Focusing on, the crypto market specifically. What drove the cryptocurrency market to these highs? Well, it was the inflation of the money supply that they're printed against. We've gone from very loose monetary conditions into very tight ones. And this is, in my opinion, going to cause further need for people to sell. This is something that I went over on my Patreons yesterday, but we're just going to focus on what BlackRock is saying it's going to need to tame inflation. And that is further demand destruction into a recession and a sharp drop in GDP to get estimates of non-inflationary GDP levels. So this, unfortunately, spells more downside across the board. I can't help but feel like we're moving into an event that's going to drive that downside and be a real demand destruction, or cause real demand destruction like what we had in March 2020. And Cardano is not going to escape that. Now, it's very easy for me to say that being sort of not heavily invested, because I don't have any pain to come from that further downside, and actually have, from an investment point of view, I'm looking for lower prices. We've done videos on where we'd buy, the levels we're looking at. You can go and find them on my YouTube channel. But I do think that this is going to roll, and it's going to roll in accordance with other markets as they look for liquidity. And this is just the situation that we're in, unfortunately, guys. The good news is I have never been so confident that blockchain is going to see global mass adoption. It is the new operating system of the world that we are walking into. And I think Cardano has a role in that, certainly when it comes to banking the unbanked. We see what World Mobile are doing and a number of other projects. You know, it's very, very exciting time to be alive. And I just thought that clip was important because time and time again, Cardano comes under criticism only for it to win in the longer run. I'm a big believer that the person who has the last laugh is the one laughing the longest. And I'm a big believer in this sort of tortoise approach. You know, we all know the story of the hare and the tortoise that Cardano has taken, and it's proven itself, in my opinion, thus far, and is going to continue to do so. So even if we do have lower prices set on the horizon, which I believe we do, you know, is 20 cents out the realms of possibility. I think there's actually a good chance that we get there, 25, these sort of levels, and potentially dropping into 17. And we will look for areas where we'll look to buy. And I'll keep you guys, of course, up to date on this channel. So if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. But I do think that there's going to be a lack of bid with a reason for people to continue selling. And basic market structure and how markets work is that's how they work, essentially, is on buying and selling. It's what moves the price up or down. There's going to be more reasons to sell Cardano in going into what's coming than there is for actually buying it. And this is, you know, this is why we're seeing this continued bleed, if you will, that will stop eventually, but it will stop when things have sorted themselves on the more macro and bigger picture. And we're very much just a hostage as a result of that. So if you haven't watched my daily cryptocurrency market update, it's well worth it. Remember what Charles is saying here. He's a big reason why I'm involved with Cardano. Again, I got into ADA really just because I was buying cryptos unknowingly back in 2017, 2018. And then when I really started to come to grips with what was going on here and started looking into Cardano, I kind of found, okay, well, initially, you know, you've got the Ethereum founder, just like with Polkadot, who's now gone on to do his own project. Let's take a little bit more of a look at this. And then when you look at all the papers that they've wrote, I did an interview with Pete from Learn Cardano, well worth a watch. It really made a lot of sense to be backing and putting my capital into this blockchain. And Cardano has become a blue chip for me in the sense that I'm not necessarily planning on getting mega rich off it. I'm going to speculate on probably smaller altcoins to do that. But I think just like if you had held Apple in the early days, or let's just hope I'm not drawn all over these charts. You know, if you'd held Apple through these boom and bust cycles, you know, this was the dot-com boom. This, of course, was 2018. If you'd held it through these periods, you can see as Apple grew as a company and gained adoption, its price followed. And this is the similar trajectory. You know, I think you're just here. This is a similar trajectory, I think, that Cardano is on, guys. And it's a very bright and exciting future that we've got ahead of us. Remember that in these trying times in regards to the bull market. That's all I've got for you in this video, guys. If you've enjoyed the content, a like is always very much appreciated. So is a comment, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you all in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gents.